And away we go. Hey, it's the pickup meeting. You found us.
You
did. Wonderful. We're so glad you're here for a Just Us episode with your co-host, Kevin Thomas, Brody Bro Shears. Just having a good time with you today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, the one thing I like about the Just Us episodes is I feel like we can do a relatively mediocre job without much preparation. Because it does really mimic our phone conversations, right? Like, so, I mean, I guess I'm not setting the bar real high for today's episode, but I feel like it is a more natural version of the pickup meeting.
Yeah, it probably is. And, you know, from the standpoint of when we have a guest on, thus far, we've known our guests, and either you've known really well, we've both known them, I've known them, you know, in some way, shape, or form, and we want them to do well, right? Yeah. And so there's a level of nerves that come in with, like, do we have the right questions prepared? Do we have things ready? Are they in a good place today? Are they ready? And listen, like, being on the mic and being on the screen is not always an easy thing. No. And so in this case, we don't have to worry about the energy of the guest, which is usually all of our guests have really picked us up, and made us look prettier, which thank you.
Yeah. And for the record, our guests have all been amazing.
Yes.
We've not been amazing every time.
We've been mediocre. Yeah. Several times. So So here we are. Another episode of the pickup meeting. No.
And we're going to do our best.
We are.
Hey, I mean, that's all we can do.
That's right. I was thinking about this the other day because it's just one of those things where you think about your college experience as, you know, I have a 16-year-old that's looking at colleges a little bit, not a ton. You know, you've had your girls that have gone to college. But I was thinking about those first experiences of college. And, like, do you have, like, a memory of, like, the first couple weeks of college? I know you're going to have to reflect back quite a bit here. But do you have, like, any, like, memories of, like, those first weeks of class? Like, maybe it was learning what a syllabus was. Maybe it was finding where you went. Like, anything that stands out from that time frame.
This is going to be unpopular. I mean, I did really well as an undergraduate. Like, I didn't have the kind of classroom struggles that some of our students do have. And I went to a kind of a college prep parochial school. And I remember the first couple of weeks going, so this is it? Like, this is what I'm going to have to do? Like, I think I can do this. And I was a first generation college student. So I mean, I was nervous, no question. But after I went to my first couple of classes, like, I was like, okay, this is all right. I mean, my intro to psych class had like 450 people in it. So that was a little surprising, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I do remember that, like, I was going to a conference every class period, Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 5:15.
Wow.
And I do remember also, like, the days were so spread out. Like, you were just so used to being scheduled and having all this free time.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And at that point, you discovered that naps are a part of college.
I did.
Yeah, amen.
Absolutely.
When you're a baby, when you get near death, and when you're in college. That's when naps are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about this.
What about yours?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that stand out to me. And like, one of them's funny, and one of them is really something I try to embrace. First day of class, and you have a schedule. And I remember having the schedule and looking at it and going to where all the first year classes were at Murray. For the life of me, I think it was faculty hall. I think that's right. And I know I'm supposed to get to a history 119 course, and it's like a world civ course. And that's where I just got to get to. And for the life of me, I couldn't find my schedule in the backpack. I couldn't find where I was going. I couldn't find what I was doing.
Oh.
And so I found a history course. And so I go to the history course, and it's first one, and I walk in a little bit late. They've already done attendance, and I just sit there, and I'm in the history course the whole time. Next session, same thing. I go back to the class. I'm good. Don't ever think a whole lot of it. And about November of that first semester, finally the professor comes up and he goes, I don't think you're in this course. And I'm like,
no.
What? He goes, yeah, I don't have you on my roster. And it turns out that I did not go to the right history course. Like I went to a different section of the course. So I was in the right course, just a different section. And so I got switched over and all the things worked out. But yeah, I was not enrolled in that course. I just was doing all the assignments, doing all the things. You know, it was probably before there was a blackboard to put grades in. So there's just a grade book and he wrote my name in and Terry Streeter had me right there. You know, it's just what it was. But yeah, no clue. And that just stands out to me. I don't know why, but it does. And then the other one was a journalism class that was taught by a guy that's beloved in Murray community, Doc McGahee. And he would do this way of teaching where he was talking about journalism and the foundations of media and all these things. And he had this teaching style that he would give us a good 10 to 12 minutes of content. And then he would give us a 3.5 to 4 minute story that he referred to as a commercial break. And he said, because our minds are so built into the TV mindset that you need your commercials. And so then he would tell some story. And I'm going to tell you that if you've ever been to a class where you cried and laughed so hard, like it's memorable for all those reasons. And so for whatever reason, Doc McGahee's class where you're just crying because the stories he tells are so absurd and but real and just wonderful. Like those two things stand out to me from that first few weeks, that first semester of college.
Yeah, I was thinking about majoring in business. I think I came in exploratory, but I didn't take a business course my first semester. I took business calc, right, which wasn't going to help you decide whether you wanted to be a business major or not. It was just going to be a test of whether you could do calculus. But I had Intro to American Politics with Marjorie Hershey, and she was fantastic, life-changing, and just really brought American politics to life. That's what I ended up majoring in. I remember going to my advisor my first semester and he was like an absent-minded professor. He had crazy hair. He rode his bike around campus. And I'm like, oh, I got to meet with this guy. He was in the residence hall I was living in. And I told him, I said, I don't really know anything about business. And he asked some of the simplest questions like, well, what's your favorite class? And I'm like, well, that Intro to American Politics class is baller, right? Like it's great. And he's like, well, take more. Baller. He's like, take more of that. And I'm like, okay. And that just led to me just diving into politics and political science kind of full bore. I think about the faculty members. Like I had George Juergens, who was this renowned history professor. And like, this is the 80s and the early 90s. Like he had these book quizzes that were 10% of your grade. This is one of the things I remember. And one of the books that we had to read was The Powers That Be. This was a Presidents in the Press course. 10% of your grade, 1,000-page book, 1,000 pages. And he said, if you read the book, you're going to get 100% on the quiz. If you don't read the book, you're not going to get any percent on the quiz. And I'm like, this is awesome.
It's something.
Yeah, so remember when students, if you're listening, right, when you talk about having too much reading,
yeah, this is Patty Griffin's students that she assigns us to.
Yeah. And so the other thing I was thinking about, like, boy, if you were really forward thinking, I mean, when I was in school, they used to put your social security numbers and your grades up, right? Like after every test on the wall, like just took a couple pictures of those social security numbers, you'd be good to go.
So on this episode of Turning to Crime, geez, that got...
Hey, I mean, can you imagine doing that now? Like everybody would walk up and look at that. That's all I'm saying, right? Like that's how silly it was.
You're an IU grad, so that's a different experience too.
Yeah.
And I don't know the age range here that we're going to get. So the only other, and I know there are a lot of IU grads, but Mark Cuban's an IU grad. Did you guys go at similar times or are you older than Mark Cuban?
I'm older than Mark Cuban. I think he graduated in 84. Joe Buck is also an IU grad. He was there when I was there. I think he graduated in 91.
But you didn't hang out with Joe Buck.
I did meet Joe Buck, but not when I was at IU.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of stories that have gone on forever, let's transition to January. Why is this month so long?
So long.
Every year.
So cold and so miserable.
And so gray, and you take down the Christmas stuff, and there's not a lot of exciting things going on.
I hate the cold so much, Kevin Thomas. I cannot believe that I have endured the cold my entire my first job, I moved to northern Iowa.
There are jobs that are south of you.
I know. Everybody tells me, but the seasons. I'm like, I really just want to swear at the seasons. Matt Markin, the other day when we were talking, doing some prep, he's like, well, how cold is it now? Like, how cold is cold? You know, and he's out in California. Our producer's out in California, kind of living it up in the 60s and 70s every day. And I told him how cold it was. He's like, oh, yeah, that's really cold. He said, it's cold in California if it's 40 or 50. I'm like, that's shorts weather in the Midwest.
Yeah. No, today, you know, it's pretty chilly here, and was walking through campus and saw a faculty member walking with his wife, and he had shorts on. And I'm like, only here, and it's 40 or 50, are you going to do that? Because everywhere else, you're going to be bundled up.
Yes. Yeah.
But as we get to the end of January, we also get into this season of the year that is the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And yeah. And so this is an episode that's releasing when it is, in end of January. And Brody and I do not have any idea who will actually be in the playoffs. And so I'm curious, Brody, roughly 35, 40 days ahead of the Super Bowl, who will be in the Super Bowl? Who's your write this down prediction? Who will be in the Super Bowl? And then who will win it?
Yeah, I have bad news in the NFC because you're going to hate both of my picks in the NFC.
You can only pick one team in the NFC.
So I think either the Seahawks or the Rams are going. That NFC West division is really, really good. And the Seahawks have your old quarterback from the Vikings kind of leading the charge. And the Rams, right, used to be the St. Louis Rams, and you despise them with every part of your being, I think. So in the NFC, I'd say I'm going with one of those two teams.
All right, pick one.
I'm going to go Seahawks because I think that's less offensive to you. So I'm going to try to be a good
less
friend.
Offensive. Like, this was real close here to my response needing to be edited. So it was. All right. So Seahawks versus
in the AFC. God, if it's the Patriots, I'm going to give up. But who's beating them? If they're playing at home, who's beating the Patriots?
All right. So you're going Patriots and Seahawks, and who will win?
The Patriots the Seahawks are going to win. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
And I'm going in a completely different direction. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
I know that's just as digestive for you.
God.
Eat that up. The Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl over the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. I don't mind the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they're the real America's team, in my opinion, right? They're owned by the fans.
I hate the Packers, but that's just because of the NFC North. That's the NFC North. You hate the Bills because of the Dolphins.
It's recent hatred, though. You just started liking the Vikings. Come on.
No pack, no. That's what I say. No pack, no. All right, so moving a little forward. Listen, we work in retention and student success, and a lot of our work's there. And so I'm just curious, are there things that over the last couple years have stood out as, like, what are those effective student success offices, and what are they doing really well that makes the work transformational and not just checklist?
Boy, that's a hard question. I want to start with just a very general thought. I think oftentimes we view these strategies as kind of silver bullets, and I don't think there's any silver bullet. What I would say generally, often, and in all the spaces where I've been, I think we have to just collectively care more. That's my initial response when I think about it. And I'm not suggesting that as an entity, higher ed doesn't care about student success, but I think institutionally, we fall into the trap of each of us is doing our job as well as we can do, and then that is good enough. But I think oftentimes it's about collectively caring more about what that looks like. I know on our campus and the last couple of campuses where I've been, we've done a lot more phone calls with students to just follow up and ask how we can be helpful to them to get registered. I feel like that's a real simple strategy, but a helpful one, right? Emails don't automatically do it. I think we do a lot, like in my old space where we had a first year experience course that was required for every student. I felt like as a strategy, based on the fact that we created that course just 10 years ago, I think as a strategy, that was really helpful, right? To provide a uniform experience for every new student, with the goal of that course really helping new students transition to the institution, really, really mattered. And then I think there's a couple other things, like we are not, like I think we forget about the end too, right? And so we're doing some of those strategies even at the 90, 100, 120 hours stage, right? How can we help you graduate? Like those kinds of nudges at the end also matter, right? I'm blown away at how often we let students who get really, really close to graduating leave our institutions without a degree. And so I think any of those strategies that are focused in on helping students get to the finish line are equally important.
Yeah, the last part of what you're talking about there, our metric side of things, we look at graduation rates. Truly, like our graduation rate here at UCA growing how it has over the last 5-6 years, I think is a lot of registrar's office and some advising.
Yeah.
Because of what you talk about is in those checks of 75, 90, 105 hours to ensure that they're there, and somebody communicating to them about the students, what's going on, what's happening, and the faculty members to ensure that the advisors know that there's issues, all the things. Yes. Like we've grown our graduation rate, and I think it's because of those efforts. But to start where you were at, I think the offices that do this well have what you talked about, because systematically people think they can figure out the answer for retention. And so they build systems. And that's not to say systems are bad. I don't believe that systems are bad.
We need good systems. There's no doubt about that, right? Like, let's be perfectly honest.
Yep. But if you build those systems without heart and care and purpose, then you're doing it wrong. And it gets down to some of the things that you're talking about. There was a person that I worked for along this journey that's been my career, where she would talk to my boss and say, well, like all Kevin's doing is making phone calls. And it's like, nope. All Kevin's doing is showing care.
Yes.
Right? Because somehow in the race of sending out emails that hit the same message for everybody, calling somebody, sending an email or a text in a non-traditional time to get back a response that you don't get whenever it's 8 to 5 every day when we send a bulk of our emails. It's those things that building in things. It's not rocket science to look and see how you retain students well. Go look at what small private schools do. Go look at people that show those intentional efforts with folks, that build the relationships, that connect with students in personal ways and not just in regulated emails and text ways. Like that makes a massive difference.
Makes a massive difference. And look, we talk about systems. I do these program reviews for Nakata quite a bit. And one of the things that I kind of came to me one day, and maybe I haven't created this, maybe these aren't my words. I'm not saying I created the internet like Al Gore or anything like this, but I remember at one of my program reviews working with a person who was just fantastic and was kind of carrying the water at their respective institution, but so much so, right? Like a singular person, and it can't be a singular person. We need personalities. I mean, personalities can transform culture, no question about that, but systems maintain them, right? So this kind of speaks to the combination of collective care and then building systems that allow that work to happen seamlessly or create clarity as to who's responsible, who's going to make these things happen, right? We were pretty successful at my previous institution at getting departments to kind of buy into the whole graduation piece, right? So department chairs started to play a role in that, right? They were tracking, they were helping us track students that got to 105 hours and to 90 hours and making sure that students got across the finish line. And it didn't matter whether the chair had just this great personality. It only mattered that they were involved in the work, right? And so when you create those systems, it really makes a difference, I think, too.
Yeah, and this is a shameless plug for sure. But I also think as we approach, I think we're like 2 weeks away from the Administrators Institute.
Oh,
It is why our role as faculty are so, I don't know, inspirational, powerful, it fills our cup, whatever you want to use for that. But getting to work with administrators throughout the country and sometimes the globe and have conversations about systems and care and effort as administrators. We've had a number of guests that have been on to talk about or that have been a part of the Administrators Institute, but I will tell you from a standpoint of those that attend, they speak highly of it because of these type of conversations, because it's building these things that are going to impact retention and student success. And it's an advising conference. It is, but our role as administrators often now is really built in retention, advising, student success.
Yeah. It's all encompassing. There's no question about that, right? And it does speak to the challenges of the 21st century academic advisor. I don't think there's any question about that. It's more complex work than ever. And the lines between being a social worker and academic advisor, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, kind of offline, is, there is a blurred line, right? We're not big C counselors. We're not automatically social workers, but that kind of work is popping up in the work of an academic advisor more and more in this time, right? In 2026, there's no doubt about that. And we took some notes before this episode, and one of the things you have written here is things no one told you about being an administrator. I love that. And, as I talk to my leaders in my space, the one thing I think is really important is no one really told me that you need to really understand the work, right? And I think the people that report to you need to believe that you understand the work. It's one thing to kind of have the vision and lead and inspire. It's another thing to really understand the work. And I've always tried to pride myself on making sure that the people that work for me and with me on a daily basis know that I understand what they do. Yep. And know that what they do matters, right? And so I don't think I automatically knew that. I mean, I had great supervisors, so maybe I learned that pretty early on in my career. Is the people that have been my mentors, they cared about what I was doing. They knew that what I was doing mattered and was important, and they understood what I was doing. And I think that's, maybe if administrators don't get told that, I think it's an early lesson that you have to be able to bring that to the table, because people are going to respect you if they know what you're doing. And if they care about you as a human, and then they're interested in the work that you are trying to accomplish.
I think back often to when I was at Western Kentucky University. A lot of what I did was training and development for advisors throughout campus. Mm-hmm. And so stealing from the team at Missouri State and Kathy Davis and her crew that did the Master Advisor Certificate program, they did some great things. Kind of built one that was really for faculty only at Western Kentucky. And all of these folks had been advising students for years. And, we brought them in and had conversations and multiple weeks of a semester and just connecting on advising topics. But one of the things that always blew my mind is a question we would ask, which is, how did you learn to be an advisor? And wow. The things ranged all over the place from I don't have any clue what I'm doing and I'm just figuring it out to, the person that advised me as a student is how I am guided into this, and I'm doing my best to just navigate the curriculum and hope the students figure it out. Like, it was a really non-existent effort of training at that point. And so teaching faculty in an actual way was really powerful. And I think about that on the flip side for administrators, that we often say, well, how did you learn to be an administrator? And you touched on some of it. You hit it with, people that you watched, people that you viewed. Yeah. But I would also say this is, and this is hard sometimes, depending on resource allocation and ability. I'm a better administrator today because of professional development opportunities that were out there.
Yes.
With NACADA, or whether it was other associations, and interacting with people that taught me in different ways. And so it's one of those things I wish I would have known as an administrator, that I wasn't going to have all the answers and wasn't expected to. because I think there were layers that I was like, okay, I'm going to get to that point. And I was one of these things that stand out to me is like the ability to say, I don't know isn't always the easiest thing, but it might be the strongest thing you need to do in a situation, because as an administrator, you don't always know the answer. It's fine to say, I don't know, but you're going to find out, or I don't know, but we're going to figure out the answer together. But that's hard to say when you're new. That's hard to say when you're growing into the position. And I wish somebody would just said, it's okay to say it.
And like advisors, right? Conceptual, informational, relational. You think about the core competencies, those same kinds of categories exist for administrators too, when you think about it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to give ourselves grace, right? Because good administrators don't become good. You're not good right away. Like, it takes time to
I've learned an awful lot from bad administrators
to develop the skills needed. Right. And so I think about that a lot too. We have to give ourselves some grace. If you're a new administrator sitting out there trying to figure out, the world and bring your best version of yourself to campus, just remember it takes time to get good at this. But it is a skill. Just like advising is a skill, right? I think conceptually you have to understand what your role is as the administrator. Where do I fall organizationally? Who are the people that can help me get things done? And then the information is the stuff you're going to get quizzed on that you just have to know, like the job, right? Understanding the people that are working with you, the work that's getting done. It's the relational piece, I think, is the hardest. And it's usually the piece that I think, whether you're an advisor or an administrator, that we all think we're really good at. And I think it's the place where we have the most space to grow, right? In my opinion, right? Like interacting with a student, being a real listener, right? Making sure that you're showing that care and really matters a lot. And maybe you're good at it naturally, but I think it's a skill that can certainly be developed, whether you're an advisor or an administrator.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of needing to give ourselves grace, I think it's time to talk about our top 3 list today, which is the top 3 comfort foods of all time.
Oh my God.
I know I knew you were going to love this topic.
I love this category.
All right. Do you have 3? You want me to go?
You go first. Cause I didn't put my stuff in advance. Maybe it'll be a surprise. Maybe it won't. I mean, if you look at me, it's probably not a surprise.
All right, so I'm going to go and just completely switch up what is on our prep document. I've decided to change it up.
You better not be stealing any of mine.
All right, first of all, listen, I love some Mexican food, right?
Oh, man.
Like, man, it doesn't matter what it's called and what town. You give me some chicken, cheese, and rice, I'm in heaven. Let's go, right? Like, it is delicious. So Mexican food is for sure comfort on my end. Chicken wings, man. Like, I love chicken wings. Gosh dang. Like, that has become like I want it for anything that's a celebratory thing, like Super Bowl coming up, gonna have it, but probably gonna have it multiple times because chicken wings are delicious.
They are delicious.
And then the last one does get into a seasonal time frame, and we all know when this hits. When you go to the grocery store, and I know you love going to the grocery store, but when you go to the grocery store and you see those Christmas tree cakes that are out, oh, sign me up, man. Christmas tree cakes are top notch, and I could eat them all.
You mean like the Little Debbie cakes?
Hells yes. Let's go. Like, it is heaven on earth, man. Like, wrap that up and give that to me as a gift. Christmas tree cakes are the real deal.
You mentioned Mexican food, and so like comfort food matters, but like I always think like comfort food / guilty pleasure. I'm not afraid to admit this. I think Taco Bell is amazing. It is amazing.
Hold on.
Like, it's the greatest comfort. Like, it's amazing.
Hold on. I got it. This episode of the Pickup Meeting is brought to you by Taco Bell. Did you eat a taco? I don't know. Go to the bathroom, turn around, and look. What are you doing?
You're not a Taco Bell guy? You said you could eat as long as it had rice, chicken, and cheese, you were in.
Yeah, but I don't think any of that stuff, I can't say that. They could sue us. I don't think any of that stuff is chicken, cheese, and rice. What are we doing?
Well,
what are your others?
I mean, I'm going to be on the next Taco Bell commercial. You're going to get sued by Taco Bell. So
yeah, you're going to be standing by that little chihuahua on the next Taco Bell commercial. Little Brody saying, "Yo quiero Taco Bell."
So my three all have kind of childhood elements to them.
Okay.
But, man, I love bologna. I love bologna. Like, there's nothing like a fried bologna sandwich.
I knew that. And like, even in knowing that you were going to say that, like, I got a little sick in my mouth there. Like, what is wrong with you?
Oh, such a good German Catholic food. And in Evansville, like now when you go to like the Fall Festival, which is the second largest walking festival in the country after Mardi Gras, it happens in Evansville every first full week in October. There's fried bologna everywhere, right? Because we're a German Catholic town. But the best fried bologna is when it's thinly sliced. Now I have to eat a thick slice, and so it loses a little bit of the flavor, but you cut them you cut the little things, and then it bubbles up, and oh my God, if you cook it at home, my mom used to make it for me. Love it. Absolutely love it.
This was my sister's thing, bologna, all through life. I just think it's disgusting. So, all right, what's number 2?
Those Hostess fruit pies, man. Like,
really?
Golly. Growing up, when I got those in my lunch sack, like with my bologna sandwich and some chips, it was like the perfect kid lunch. Like, and all the flavors were good. Like, it didn't matter. Apple, cherry, blueberry, lemon, peach.
Do you still do this now? And like, how are your feelings on it?
No, I cannot eat those anymore. They're like 8,000 calories. They're worse than donuts.
They're probably the same thing.
Maybe.
Stuff that they say is fruit.
Yeah. But I loved those growing up. And they are definitely, and I'll see them from time to time in the store, and I'll just think, oh, the good old days.
I feel like in the last 5 years, I've had one of those. Like, I got one, and I don't remember why. But the reason I remember this is the feeling I had afterwards where I thought I was going to die. You know, like it was just like, it sits in you, and that sugar hits you.
Well, and the third thing, I was going to say hot dog, but we'll just put hot dog with bologna, right? Like,
because you never know what's in it. Yep.
Right. So my third thing, like, I love cereal, man. Really? Cereal is great. And we need to maybe spend some more time in this, like the best cereals. We don't have time for that today.
No, but that's a future list for sure.
That's a future list for sure. But I love cereal. I'm a big milk guy, and I love cereal. God, any kind of cereal.
We could do food topics all day long here on the pickup meeting.
We could.
But it's time to go.
It's time to go. So, all right, folks. Think about food before the next show. Your favorite cereals, we'd love to hear them. Put them in the comments section if you're on YouTube. But that's it for this edition of the pickup meeting. We hope your own meetings, formal or pickup style, are as meaningful and as fun as this one. Until next time, do good and be nice. Just be nice.
Be nice, folks.